listening to the Mark Bradford Alchemy for Life podcast.
Just have patience. What does that mean? Hey there. Welcome back. Thanks for waiting patiently for this podcast. Did you? Did you wait patiently? Do you always wait patiently? Are you a patient person? Is patience a virtue? So I'm going to tell you something that I always tell you. And that thing is not what you think thing is, right? It's a pretty good formula because it's usually true. And in this case, it's true. Patience is not what you think it is. I like to just kind of peel back the layers. I like to open the box. I like to kind of shine a big, shiny light on things. And this is one of those things. I want to talk about something that you just make assumptions about. Because it can be used against you, because it can manipulate you, and because it can be annoying. And patience is one of those things. If you want me to do a thing for you, and if I say, just be patient, what does that mean? Feel free to pause this, seriously, because I'm going to move quickly, because I'm an impatient person. So if I ask you a question, feel free to pause, think about the answer, and then continue so that you're armed with the answer. So now that you paused it, you think of what patience is, right? You think it's, it means you wait your turn, or you give the amount of time. Oh, here we go. You do what now? You give the amount of time that you think you should be waiting, right? That's it, isn't it? Bingo. That's what patience is. If you have patience, you know that a thing takes a certain amount of time and you're going to wait for it. Well, then you don't have patience then. If water takes 13 minutes to boil and you wait 13 minutes for the water and you go, okay, the water's boiling, you weren't patient. You just knew how long the water took to boil. Well, yeah, but that's like physics and stuff. That's not what we're talking about. Oh, what are we talking about then? We're talking about people, aren't we? We're talking about soft skills and people and conversation and business and transactions and relationships, aren't we? That's where patience is shoved in your face like a giant banana cream pie from the 40s. Yep, patience. What does that mean? It means you're told to wait an amount of time that you don't understand. Or you're told to allow a certain amount of time to pass that you don't think should have to pass, right? If you're a dude and you're waiting for your wife to get ready and you think it should take 11 minutes, but it takes an hour and 15 minutes, you become impatient. Why? Because the two time segments don't match up and you don't tell your part of the brain that is waiting how long it's going to take. Therefore, you become impatient, right? Now, I'm not saying that if you wait for a certain thing to happen and it takes longer than expected, that it's your problem always. It's not. That's the point of this podcast, is to prevent you from being manipulated. If something you're supposed to have done, like your car's worked on or something else, and the your wife getting ready example is not an applicable example for this, because that typically is your problem, not hers. If you're waiting for a thing to be done, like your car's being worked on, you're getting an oil change, you're getting something, you're waiting for somebody to file a report, and you have a very solid expectation with those people of when the time segment is going to be over, and it's not, and you start to get upset, or you say, hey, what's going on here? It was supposed to be X, and now it's X plus 50%. It's X times 7. You're not being impatient. But Mark, it sounds the same. It feels the same. You have that same feeling. Oh, come on, I've waited too long. Give it to me. Give me the thing I want. Right. Because it's a matter of perspective and it's a matter of accuracy of the data that you're given. See? So when you have impatience towards something that you're misled about, then you don't have impatience, but you're misled into thinking it. So that's where we're getting at right now. So not only is this one of those things where I say it's not what you think it is, it's actually a subset of something else that is just hiding and pointing and laughing at you. And the thing that's hiding and pointing and laughing at you is the lack of data. It's the misleading data. So that's hiding in the corner and giggling because it told you that this thing would take 15 minutes when it knew damn well it would take an hour. And it's laughing as you get impatient because you're right. You're right. You are going on what you were given. Well, now you think, well, hold on. I'm not always given the amount of time. I just make an assumption. And when you make an assumption, it makes an ass out of you. I love that your brain says, and me. I've literally had people do that in person, in a group of people, where I said, well, you know, when you assume it makes an ass out of you, and they yell out proudly, and me. Try that sometime, especially in an elevator. But I digress. So what I'm trying to help you with, in way too many words, and now you're becoming impatient, is that make sure your data is correct. And sometimes we are fooled, and sometimes we are fooled by ourselves. That's the big one, right? Because there's still going to be people out there who will constantly try to fool you. But the one that you carry around with you in your brain, we want to work on that one. So if people say you're an impatient person, or patience is not exactly your virtue, or you feel like you're not exactly a patient person, it probably doesn't have anything to do with patience, because patience doesn't exist. Patience just means, if somebody says, oh, I'm such a patient person, well, that means you probably bring a book with you wherever you go and you just read it. Or you don't really have a high-stress job that is time-oriented. Wow, you're so patient. That's what it typically means. However, let's work on making you someone who doesn't have to experience impatience, and you do that by the data. So I want you to think about what your expectations and what your understanding are of things that are in your life, important things, non-important things. When you take the dog for a walk, you have an expectation of how long it's going to take before the dog starts squatting, right? Come on. Oh, no, I don't know. Whenever he goes. No, you have a specific number in mind. You have a specific number of minutes. When you meet somebody for lunch, you have a certain expectation of how long that meeting is going to go. You may meet someone for lunch and go, oh, I just need to relax. This day has been crazy. So you're like, oh, I guess I could take an hour and a half or more, whatever. I'll be back to work soon. Or you take a lunch, or you have a coffee meeting with someone that's insufferable, and you're like, look, I just need to get X out of you. I just need you to buy the product and shut up. And your expectation is 15 minutes. You have expectations. You're not a dumb person. Even the dumbest of people is not a dumb person when it comes to this. Okay? So I'm going to want you to pause again and think of moments in your life in which you felt super impatient, and you either got into an argument with somebody in a relationship, or you had an issue at work, or you have an issue with yourself, or you're so impatient because you need to do a thing but it takes too long. Okay? Think about that, and then we'll continue. Okay, good job. So you might have thought about something like, well, you're exercising, you're trying to lose weight, or you're working on a project or something, and it takes too long. Okay. Well, then what would be the proper amount of time? So you need to compare the proper amount of time in your brain and go, that's what I think it is. And then you have to decide, well, where am I getting that impression from? Am I trying to build some little thing downstairs, and I have a friend who's a master carpenter and he takes 11 minutes, and for me it's going to take 2 days? Well, then you have to adjust your skill level. Do you think that somebody is going to get ready and they're going to look absolutely gorgeous the way that you always want them to look, but you only expect it to be 15 minutes? Well, then you have to adjust that to reality. And so forth. Is something taking too long because you're doing it wrong? And that could very well be what it is. It's that you're not doing it the right way, which is a great thing to realize that the thing that you're trying to do, you're doing the wrong way, because now you're not wasting 2 hours out of your day. You're using the 15 minutes or the half hour that you think impatiently, in quotes, is how long something should take. If you take that one thing away from this podcast, as with most of my podcasts, at least there's one takeaway, solid bullet, tangible point. I just made you not only happier, but I just freed up a lot of time in your life. Think about that. Think about how silly and simple that is. And yet that's exactly what just happened. By you ignoring what people call patience, because that's not what it is, but instead it's just the result of improper data and perception. So you might want to go back and listen to this again, and you might want to do the pauses again, because this 10-minute-ish podcast can help you if you allow it to like sort of spread out into like 20 minutes of thoughtfulness. There you go. As always, I hope it helped you. I always try to give you something tangible. I pull stuff out of left field all the time like this and go, oh, A is not A at all. It's actually X, and X is being controlled by 7. And you're like, wait, what? What is Mark talking about? So let me know if you like this stuff. Let me know if you continue to like these things, because a lot of why I do this is for you. Well, most of why I do this is for you. And if I'm not hearing from you, then I may adjust my course on how I approach this sort of thing. So thank you so much. Talk to you later. Hey, got some cool news for you. You know The Sword and the Sunflower's been out. It's only part 1 of an epic duet. The sequel and final conclusion is called Amira, and that is now released. The Sword and the Sunflower is also released on audiobook, which is available on many, many, many formats, including your local library. So check out an app called Hoopla. It's available for iPhone and Android and even Roku. Allows you to check out stuff from your library with just your library card, the way that you check out other things. So you can actually get the audiobook of The Sword and the Sunflower just by checking it out from the library. And check out Amira, which is now available on paperback and Kindle. And finally, in addition to that, the book called The Status Game 2 is actually available in libraries as well now as an audiobook. So check them all out and let me know what you think of the Sword and the Sunflower and Amira. I'm quite pleased and proud of those. Thank you.